Welcome to Roots of Heaven. This is session number 1, entitled Somber Beginnings. Roots of Heaven will act as a follow-up campaign to the Golthias tree, which terminated after about 22 sessions. This game will continue following the story of Sen, the rogue from the Golthias tree, after her departure from the Dread Realm that was ruled over by Golthias, but was then usurped by Hero, the Dragonborn companion of Sen. The group has had some previous adventures together, in that one of the party members who will be introduced shortly was a part of the number of shots sessions of games that I had run during the off time for Cyberpunk. Anyways, that stated, this game takes place in the city of Nock, which, if you're familiar with the Friday game, is a very large metropolitan city, very much on the progressive cutting edge of technology and just its nature. Nock is population in the millions, very massive city, very old city, ruled over by 10 houses. Those 10 houses act more now as guilds or companies, more so than they act in the traditional sense of houses as they operate in other cities and other parts of the three kingdoms of Osiria. That said, this group has no technical affiliation with any of these 10 houses so far, but they are in a way associated with the Mardigan family. That said, they, after going through some matters together and in a backstory event, kind of dealing with remnants of the Red Daggers Guild, which is a thieves guild that was trying to gain some notoriety in the Styes and also in and around the outskirts of Nock. This group has assembled in the city of Nock in a tavern, which is not currently notated with a marker, I don't think. Oh, it does have a point, but it doesn't have a statement. The tavern in question is called the Red Dragon Inn. Red Dragon Inns in this setting are very much a franchise operation. They are everywhere. They're very commonplace. It's kind of like going to an Applebee's or a Denny's, except that it's mostly alcohol and places to sleep. The reason why they went to this specific place, not so much because of the fine, establishment or the nature of it, but because they plan on leaving either in the morning or during the evening, their choice. Once we get to that, we'll explain more as to how you'll come to that decision. Out of the Green District through the River Notian, which is the river that runs through Nock. That said, we cut to inside of the Red Dragon, and you have already kind of mustered and gathered your seats. You'll note that your tokens or proxy tokens are up in the top right corner. To give you a bit more opportunity to kind of get into the feel of the environment and also kind of understand a bit what's going on here. It is very well packed. It's the 5th day of the 6th day, so tomorrow's a holy day, and most people are kind of getting out their week's worth or days worth of aggression, having to deal with their jobs, and are trying to kind of have a good time cut loose. The person playing music is kind of playing just a song that doesn't seem to match the attitudes of most people proper, but they linger regardless, and the barkeep keeps on dishing up the drinks and the food. It's a relatively warm place. There's a trio of dwarfs throwing axes at target on the northern wall there, kind of sitting and drinking as well. All manner of different individuals throughout, be it from the more common races of human, Dweogar, elf, and oh my god, why is my brain halfling, to the more rare dragonborns, tieflings, and even Beholderkin resides inside of the tavern at current. But yeah, your group is assembled in a corner because kind of a roguish group. Well, at least assembled in that way, has obviously taken a corner position, a dark corner that allows access and visibility of the door, of all doors anyways. And we'll of course start with Sen. who, if you watch the Golthias tree, you would know a bit about already, but allowing for Elizabeth to reintroduce them to you.
Just go into introducing, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Just a
so
physical description and what you're currently doing in the current environment.
okay, Sin is a changeling. They present as a kind of neither male nor female version of their father, or their adopted father, who is a wood elf. So they have kind of coppery hair, warm but light skin, the ears, and just kind of thrown together clothing, but a nice green, I forget what it's called, but it's like a padded vest type thing. Anyways, they probably just chilling with a good mug of ale, not necessarily enjoying the current music.
Yeah.
Not,
That makes sense.
yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Across the table from Sen is kind of a newcomer to the group. Would be Namalia. And Zizo, go ahead and tell us a bit about Namalia.
Sure. Namalia is about 6 foot. She's a merfolk originating from the coral merfolk off the coast. She is has kind of a kind of coral pink skin. Her headdress has like cool little coral things popping out the top. She also has like this sort of head tail that kind of swings down. Right now, she would probably be wearing her studded leather studded armor, and would not be brandishing her sickle like in the image. She is, yeah, she's probably right now just. She probably would have asked for like a kelp broth or something instead of alcohol.
Okay. And surprisingly, they are able to facilitate. So, yeah, the Green District is actually very competent in kind of serving specifically plant-based type things. So, yeah, they're able to kind of stew you a bit of kind of kelp broth.
Very cosmopolitan. I like it.
And someone who has traveled with Sen before, the individual who was with them when they dealt with the Kraken matter, is Chris's character. And go ahead and describe a bit about Terry Silvereye.
All right, Terry Silvereye. He is pretty tall for a halfling. He stands at 3'5". He has bronze red hair, a sly grin. He dresses as what he considers fancy, with a button-up shirt, a vest, a long coat, and a scarf with a bandolier full of various colored liquids stuck into it, and a great big automatic pistol stuck into it. His most notable physical attribute is that his left eye is just a pure silver sphere. He's sitting there. I think his drink of choice right now is probably some gin and tonic. So he's enjoying that. He always has a sly grin on his.
We'll keep going though. Sorry.
He always has like a sly grin on his face, ready to swindle the next person who comes along and get out of town before they realize it.
Did you get through it?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Nayland had gotten into some catnip and apparently was in attack our older female cat mode, so I gave him a chase around the house.
Are you?
Yeah. Okay. Now, those are the pictures that I have drawn. This game, we technically started it up about a week and a half ago, and things besides, I haven't been able to draw all the characters. So for the next 2 characters, I do not have physical drawings of them yet. So we're very much on description here, but those will come forward hopefully by the start of next session. That said, the other individual, kind of seated opposite, or seated kind of opposite Sen, is Belroth. And if I go ahead and tell us a bit about Belroth.
Belroth is a half elf, half dragonborn. He is quite tall, just under 7 feet. He leans a little bit more towards his half elf side. In appearance, kind of similar toned. I believe he probably has wood elf heritage as well, because he has kind of like the reddish brown hair and the warmer skin tone. It's paler. The hazel eyes, and he's also got horns and scales that kind of come across like kind of like the higher points of his cheekbones and then off of his temples as well. He is a fighter, so he's always wearing some form of armor, particularly now. Never seen without a weapon type of thing. And he's very quiet, so he's just kind of sitting in the corner right now, just observing the rest of the tavern as we go about our business, keeping an eye on things. Maybe a cup of ale in front of him, maybe like a plate of food that he occasionally picks at, but mostly he's just kind of watching the peoples around him at this point, looking to see if there's any trouble, but otherwise just there to do a job.
Okay. And last but not least, across from Belroth would be Zach, your character, Jai. Tell us a bit about Jai.
Jai is a fawn, right out of the, typical description: horns, hoof feet, lots of hairs. He is very brightly ordained, has this almost, it looks like a cape at the moment, very brightly colored iridescent cape that if you were to look at it from behind him right now, like over top of his chair, you would see the colors are flowing in time with the music. And as the strings are playing, different colors are pushing across from through the cape. And he's sitting at the table just so uninspired. I don't understand. It just if he did literally anything else other than just strum those fucking chords, this song would be wildly more interesting. He's just frustrated, and you can see he's just very bored and angry that he's bored, because he shouldn't be bored because there's someone playing music, and he's just keyed into just how amateurish this all is.
Yeah. Okay, so to be sure, Sen's kind of just casual. Oh my gosh, you and me are gonna fight. We're gonna fight, baby. I don't want to fight you. Not today. Not today. Okay, so Sen just kind of casual. It would seem that same kind of attitude flowing from Namalia, Belroth, and Terry. And Jai, you're very much focused on the minstrel, the person playing at the music. You would note that he is an older gentleman. Looks like he is kind of well salted. In that I mean, he is someone who probably spent a lot of time at sea. He Just looks like he has never cared for his skin, not once in his entire life. He's wearing a wide-brimmed kind of hat, and yeah, he's just kind of playing the instrument, the piano, just very uninspired, just kind of going through the motions. Um, and yeah, the door opens, and Zen probably immediately kind of recognizes that your contact, the captain of the ship that will be taking you out, kind of steps in. The captain is called just that, the captain, and he is a tabaxi who dresses much more lavishly and much more flamboyantly than Terry does, wearing a very just bright purple hat with pink and magenta kind of feathers flowing off the top, a blue long coat, not unlike Terry's, but adorned with kind of more gold trim and yellow interior lining. And yeah, this individual starts making their way towards you. Okay, that said, he stops at your table, looks to the people who are nearby, and kind of says nothing to them, then kind of just kind of gives them like a scowling look, and then looks to Sen. So, you are planning on leaving tomorrow or today?
Probably, kind of, sir.
The ship is ready.
Oh, okay.
But if you do not leave within the end of the 6th day, so by tomorrow, I will have problems because I have other things I must do. So, the sooner the better. But if you want to leave, now we could. If you want to leave tomorrow, later in the day, that's fine. But again, if you are hesitant, I apologize. But my services, despite my favor I owe to the Mardigans, will not be able to be fulfilled.
Well, we can definitely leave today or tomorrow. Looks at the group cruise today.
Places a small parchment of paper on the table in front of you. You can see it has a dock number, and also a name kind of written in very fancy kind of cursive writing. And it says Ashmedeus Tears, and that appears to be the name of a ship.
Okay.
Most people who are in your profession know who Ashmedea is, and also because of your past experiences, you should know as well. Ashmedea is the demon prince of greed. He looks to you all and says, "Have a great evening." Takes the hat off and kind of flourishes it to Namalia, and then kind of puts the hat back on and heads out.
Waves them goodbye. See you soon.
It does look like the people who are nearby were originally trying to lean in and pay attention, but after they were kind of scowled at by the captain, they stopped. Doesn't look like many people are too terribly focused on, your exchange.
Good. Looks to the group. So, are we ready to go? Or
I cleared my schedule for this, so I'm pretty much ready to go.
And I swear to God, if I have to listen to this guy play one more song, I'm gonna lose it.
Oh, Sen, we've worked together before. You know I'm always ready to go for anything.
But I'm not joking, there's not enough alcohol in this bar for me to sit through another fucking song.
So, ready to go to the docks then?
Oh, please, dear God.
As you're, one more person. I'm sorry. Belroth, are you good?
He literally just grunts.
Perfect. As you are getting ready to leave, the music kind of stops. You kind of look at the old man kind of tip his hat down and kind of start playing. And unfortunately, I don't have a good musical representation for it, but the song he starts playing is very, very dour. And you can see people nearby kind of like immediately become like annoyed because the music was hardly upbeat at all, but at least it wasn't like depressing. But now it's very melancholic. It's like very much the case that he is playing a dirge, and the skill that he lacked in every single chord he played before is no longer present. It seems like he's playing this a bit more from the heart as you're kind of moving towards the door to exit.
That's ominous.
Ugh.
You can make a history check, Jai, if you'd like.
History, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, this new character sheet. It's so exciting.
It's a wonderland.
17.
Good. The song in question is called The Dirge of Crystallis. Nock has a very storied tradition, and at some point during those stories you remember hearing about a very kind of strange tale of an individual that was known as the Crystallis. Apparently a fey creature that aligned itself very much so with the houses of the Green District, specifically House Gravesend. And the Crystallis was not only a fae, but also kind of variant of a dryad that, because of her very much disputed and seen as kind of abominable love with a tiefling noble of the Montoulet's house, she was basically instructed to quit doing that, to quit being with this individual, meeting with this individual. Instead of doing that, she turned herself into a cocooned version of herself, basically forming a kind of crystal shell about herself. Some people say it was like, a chrysalis, like the caterpillar would form above itself or around itself, and some people, felt like she was encasing her self in ice because of her heart being kind of chilled over due to this choice between duty and her heart. But yeah,
Bad.
you head out into the streets of Nock and start making your way towards the ports. Now, the Styes is the normal port area that you're familiar with, but according to the note that was passed off to you, it looks like this meeting will actually happen closer to Thalavar's Beacon, which is about a 30 or 40 minute walk, or you can try and find some form of transportation. Nock, as a city, has a lot of different forms of transportation, such as sky rails, which are rails that run along the tops of buildings and towers. There are rail cars, which are very much just like a subway in a very modern city. You can attempt to hire an auto carriage, which is basically an automobile. Those are only allowed to run on certain streets, though, and probably wouldn't get you to where you wanted outside of the city. But there are sky rails that run out towards Thalavar's, as well as regular rail cars. And if you had other forms of transportation of your own, be it horse and buggy, horse, what have you, you could utilize those as well.
Cool.
Or do you want to walk it?
How far is it, roughly?
About 45-minute walk.
Mm-hmm.
Does it cost to take the sky rails?
It does.
And what time of day is it right now?
It'd be later in the day, so I would say actually evening time, probably around 6, 7 p.m.
Oh, post dinner, watching the sunset. How could you give up that walk?
Fine.
I mean, we're not going to be walking on land for a while, so.
Right?
Might as well take it all in.
Okay, so you start heading down the way. You can see the styes off in the distance, the sun setting, and it's a pleasant enough walk. Decent amount of people are passing you by. You do see kind of a large number of auto carriages that are pulling pretty large amounts of supplies behind them. You can see that along the sides of them, the symbols of House Montoulet are kind of present on the storage containers on the back of these auto carriages, which is kind of a yellow flower set on a blue field. You continue on, though. You make your way to the ports just south of Thalavar's Beacon. You can see Thalavar's Beacon off in the distance, which is a tower that stands somewhere around 700 feet tall. At the top of it, and at points in the middle, you can see very bright lights kind of booming out from it. You can also see that the lights move across the waterway as if they're being directed and focused at specific points in the water. And as you kind of look out to sea, you can see that they're very much highlighting ships that are kind of still coming into port at this late hour. You make your way to that specific dock area, and you can see a very large, very kind of ruby red kind of ship with a dragon kind of ornamentation on the front. Looks like it's a two-sailed ship, but of decent size. The other thing you'll note is it does seem to have an accoutrement of cannonades and also arbalists on the deck of the ship. Oh, I didn't realize I lost. Oh, there. Okay, let me see. Did that mess anything up on my side? Yes. Hold on a second here. Sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay. I think we just got 2 switch. Okay, cool. All right. No problem. Okay, so you make it to the ship, and as I mentioned, bright, or kind of like a burgundy red kind of colored wood, cannons, and well, not full cannons, smaller cannons, cannonades, and ballistas on the deck. It looks like there's a decent number of crew members who are just kind of idly kind of sitting about in the rigging and out at the dock. You can see kind of individuals looking to you. One of them kind of walks out towards you and says, "Hail! Are you the cargo?"
I wouldn't
so.
call us that.
Well, it is what you are.
I mean, we are being taken somewhere, to be fair.
Right. I mean,
So,
I
yes.
suppose
Passengers?
a passenger is probably what a passenger would call themselves, but we'd call them cargo.
Fair enough.
Alright.
I mean, no insult. Just fact of the matter is we're taking you to a place and dropping you off. I guess it's more fortunate when the cargo has legs.
Yeah.
Does,
That's fair.
does that mean they'll carry us if we don't want to use them, though?
If you're
Just both arms out.
if
Valid
you're,
question.
if you're interested, kind of looks up and says, "Bosun!" You see a very stout woman, very corded musculature, very kind of just tight, kind of ragged clothing, with her hair kind of like a mess inside of like a tied back kind of piece of cloth. She's got tattoos on both of her, biceps. She kind of walks down, kind of looks at you, looks at
Exactly my type. And I jump like to grab around her neck and like swing my arms out so I can be caught like side saddle in her arms.
the sheer casualness with which she just hefts you over her shoulder, like a very light sack of potatoes, is alarming. But she catches, throws you up onto her shoulder, and then the person who called you aboard kind of, you know where to put them. And she just starts walking onto the deck with your phone.
I'm also gonna be standing there. It's like, so do I get a beautiful lady to carry me on board as well?
She turns around very just curtly, kind of walks over and just scoops you up in her other arm, throwing you onto her shoulder, carrying the two of you onto the ship.
As she's carrying us away, I look at Terry. The
Yeah,
things we
behind
can do
her.
with this one, no?
And she kind of
I
just
like where this is going.
she
my
kind of
friend.
says, "Not interested. I don't fuck cargo."
Oh, are you sure?
She kind of stops on the deck, looks over at this old guy who's like looks like he's peeling potatoes, and she kind of looks at him, and she kind of looks at you like this, and says, "If you want somebody who fucks cargo, talk to Pete." And she starts walking towards the hold and starts descending down into the ship.
Looks at Terry. I can make it work.
He's not my type.
He kind of gives you
No.
a grin with like, he's missing a few teeth, but he definitely has a sparkle in his eye. Seeing
Man who gets around.
seeing the fawn, anyways. But yeah, after meeting Old Man Pete, being taken onto the deck by. All right. Octavia takes you down, but Namalia and Belroth and Sen, you board the ship of your own accord without assistance.
Yep.
I'm good.
Okay. Boarding the ship, on the deck, you would note that there are a number of individuals who start kind of moving through the process. If you have vehicles, water, or you've lived most of your life on the water, you would note that it appears that they are basically preemptively kind of getting ready for disembark. And yeah, that said, the bear with me here, sorry. The captain sees you aboard and descends down from the poop deck, heads on over to Sen. So, tonight then. Very good. Let's be on our way, I suppose.
Yeah, better than the bar. They started playing a dirge as we left, so got out of there just in time.
I don't typically go to Red Dragon Inns. They're pretty annoying, yes.
Fair.
I try to find the more quiet places that serve better beverages. Anyways, I will prepare the ship and I will make everyone ready to leave at once. Your decks are below, and when I say decks, I mean to say you will be allowed to sleep in the hammocks at the very far end of the very lowest portion of the craft. There are a total of 4, I believe. If you wish to all sleep at one time, I can try to make arrangements for you to sleep up here in one of the detachment vessels, but I apologize. We are typically not a passenger vessel. I'm sure someone has already referred to you as cargo, based on Octavia's.
I'm pretty sure that Jai and Terry could sleep in the same hammock.
Very
They'd
good.
probably fit.
Yes, I suppose we do have a couple of halflings on board who do sometimes share hammocks, but yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. I will go ahead and give you the tour, and just please, if anyone is currently operating anything, try not to interfere with their work. Bear with me while I throw some tokens.
Throw them. You don't want to break them.
They are not real.
You could just set them down.
They are but tokens.
Definitely.
Treat them with a little bit of respect. You know how much those things cost?
I made them.
Yeah,
He
made them
them. He
yourself.
can take them out.
Okay.
Whoa, but why do you keep letting me play games?
You know why.
Honestly, I ask myself that every day. Every time I say a pun, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get kicked off the server at some point.
This
Let me
is the last time John puts up with my shit.
This is the one.
You're a crazy person. Let's see. Okay, so this is the main deck. You can see that there are a total of 8 relatively small cannons. They're not very massive cannons, decent sized, but not grand cannons. You can see that there is a staircase that descends down into the bowels of the ship. There is a door directly beneath the wheel of the craft, and that leads more into kind of the nuanced kind of mechanics of the craft. not so much a captain's quarters as you would expect to see underneath the poop deck of a craft such as this. There are 2 sails, and as I mentioned, dragon kind of on the mast there. A couple of arbalists, or ballistas rather, on the front. The ballistas are set up in harpoon fashion, so ready to kind of fire out and retrieve. And you can see into the bowels of the ship from the kind of open space in the center, which is to basically maneuver larger cargo in and out of the craft if necessary. There's actually 10 cannons, I miscounted. But yeah, as we move down, Octavia and her cargo would arrive first. You would note that it kind of rotates down, and there are much more in the ways of cannons present in the ship. You kind of see that a couple of the individuals down here are kind of wearing cloth masks and hoods. Not too dissimilar from what you saw Red Daggers, Terry and Sen wearing out at the Kraken location. You'd be well aware, Sen, that the reason why they do this isn't to kind of conceal their identity, but to kind of make it so that breathing in kind of poor locations is better. It doesn't smell down here, it's not foul or anything, but it looks like they might well be individuals who kind of prepare the cannon shot and so on. A couple of individuals of note as you kind of passing around and through. There's several people sleeping in the hammocks, probably third shift or early morning shifters. There is a merfolk kind of just laying in a hammock casually. He is kind of blue-skinned, wearing adornments that would mark him as a river merfolk. And he just seems to be just kind of giving you a glance idly, but not really focusing too much. Has not quite gone to sleep as of yet. There are some people who are kind of making sure the cannons are ready to move. You can see them kind of locking chains to them to hold them in place, even more so than would be normal for regular shooting. And the captain would then lead you to the next portion of the ship that descends further down into the craft. Making it down there, you would see that there are 4 individuals who are just waking up. From those hammocks that you are basically usurping. And 2 of them appear identical. They kind of have half cloaks on, and they each have a tattoo of a weird angel with its wings kind of ripped off, but the wings drawn on there. They look pretty much identical, and except for the tattoo is on one arm, and then the other one has it on the opposite arm. Kind of an older man who looks like just a fisherman who just showed up. And then there's a kuatoa. If you're not familiar with what a kuatoa is, it's basically a fish person. And he very much looks like a fish person. And as they're kind of getting up, you would see that the captain kind of waves them along, gestures to the hammocks. This will be where you'll be staying. And then kind of walks over to the prison cell, which you have a solid wall between you and them, but this kind of place here opens it up, reaches inside, and grabs a hold of a kind of almost similar hair to Terry's, human male with cuts all about his face. Looks like he's missing a couple of fingers, but he looks like he's in decent kind of, it looks like he's being fed and kept well enough. Grabs him by the hair and starts kind of dragging him up to another cell kind of northwards, and throws him into it. Looks to the 3 in the back and starts talking to them as he kind of leaves you off to do what you are doing. But the individuals who were sleeping kind of move up into the ship towards the tops.
Don't want to be them.
Well, that all seems a little bit harsh, don't you think?
No.
I mean, depends, I guess.
I do like this one.
I can never tell with you land dwellers. Harsh or not harsh.
The captain kind of gives you a look after returning from dragging the strange man, and says, He should be of no issue to you. He is simply, no worries about that. Another piece of cargo. I'm going to head back up, deal with the ship being. You kind of feel the ship lurch underneath your feet. And just see that we are already underway. So we should arrive relatively shortly, perhaps by morning. If you haven't slept, I suggest trying your best at it. And I will see you at dawn.
Great, thank you.
Heads up to the ship and the top of the ship, and leaves you to do as you please down at the bottom. Octavia kind of had already dropped you two off, and you were only a few moments ahead of the others. But yeah, at that point, what would you all like to do?
I would like to take out my my tome and just start ritual casting Find Familiar.
Okay.
Summon a... Can I do like a hawk familiar?
Sure. And I'll assume that you've already purchased a decent amount of charcoal for the purposes of this, right?
It's so it's with my invocation.
Oh, okay, never mind. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, sure enough, some rituals performed there on the floor in between the hammocks, in front of all the kegs of pale ale, which serves as kind of a substitute for water in long ocean voyages. And poof, a hawk appears. I'm assuming of a kind of aberrant kind of nature.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So yeah, the eyes kind of like are bright silver, and the tongue inside of the mouth of the hawk has an almost kind of tentacle-like appearance.
And I'm just gonna command it to like just fly out and like fly up onto the mast.
Okay.
Oh.
If
When
can.
I see the hawk fly by, I'm gonna turn to Namalia. Well, at least he's consistent with his branding, no?
Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with the silver eye, I guess.
Right? It just seems so easy. Everything you summon, you just
As
silver.
the bird flies up into the second deck and starts making his way out to get out of the ship, you hear a, "What the fuck, a bird!" And then you hear a loud crack, and you can feel your familiar connection just dissipate immediately.
Probably wasn't the best place to start with it, though, no?
It
Fair.
definitely draws some confused, "What the hell was that? Where did it go?"
No, I probably should have thought ahead for that one.
You
To
then
be
hear another
entirely
voice
honest.
Go, "Hold on a second." You see the merfolk, the river merfolk, come down and kind of look at you. Is one of you a wizard of some sort?
Belroth just points at Terry. That one.
Well, sorry about your bird. It's gone now, so sorry about that. Might want to be safer next time. Okay.
That's perfectly okay.
No problem.
It happens. I can get another one.
That's fine, I guess. All right, bye. Walks away. Leaving the room once again to you. Do you immediately go right back into casting Find Familiar?
I'm gonna do it again.
Bird.
But this time, I'm just gonna have it like stand like my shoulder until and not like fly out onto the next deck up.
Okay.
I'm
And
sure if you walked it out, it would be fine.
This is obviously
Not
taking,
locked down here. You know?
this is obviously taking some time.
Oh yeah, it takes 10 minutes to
yeah.
to summon the thing.
So in
While
the
he's
meantime,
doing that, Sid hops into one of the hammocks and just chills.
Okay.
Not sleeping, just.
immediately kind of going into a long rest kind of mentality. Okay. And
I mean, we're here.
absolutely. Let's see. So cutting from Elizabeth and moving to the left, it'll go to Jai.
I imagine I'm doing the same as I've gotten into my shared hammock with Terry while he's busy, and I'm gonna enjoy stretching out while I can, and just like I imagine he's pulled out the loot and is just like finger picking on that as it like he watches you know.
Okay.
Terry-
Already better music than at the pub.
Yeah, it's just quiet finger picking. Just
Casual
you know.
practice.
yeah,
Yep.
it's a lot of imagine Dust in the Wind, but like different songs. You know.
Okay. And then Terry would be casting. So Magpie, what is Belroth doing?
He's probably just gonna find himself a barrel to sit on, slightly outside, and just sit there with the sword.
Okay.
Like we're just gonna wait.
Okay. Yeah, perfectly good hammock as well. But yeah,
Yep.
just sitting on a barrel there, just being cool. All right, and then Zizo, what would Namalia be doing?
So Namalia would kind of follow suit and get comfortable in the hammock, and she would take out like a little jar, and it's like this balm that kind of smells kind of like floral and fishy at the same time, and she'd be like applying it to her face, her like herbal moisturizer, and she would offer some to Sen and to Balroth and see if they wanted to try some.
You see when you reach out to it, Jai like dips his fingers in.
And
Funky.
um,
You have like toast or something? That might make it better.
this is actually a good question because there are some things I need to ferret out here. If anyone's been watching it or kind of has an idea, we out of character know Sen is a changeling. That's correct. They are a changeling. The only person in character who would know that so far would be Terry, because you all posed as Brick, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Unless Sen has already revealed that to everyone in question, because you did fight together, so that's up to you.
If they almost died, everyone would know.
Yeah, that sounds like the thing. Yeah.
You know,
So the
that's
last group
really.
found out.
They don't really talk about it.
Okay. Just wanted to
It's one of those like, we don't really talk about it thing, but like it's pretty obvious anytime there's a battle because they almost always like are
die and
near
revert
death.
back into changeling shape. But the only reason I brought it up is because moisturizer. I was thinking about it for changelings, and I was like, yeah, they don't need it at all. Their faces are liquid. Perfection.
Actually has a physical zit. You know what? I don't want that
I don't
today.
want it anymore.
Gets rid of it.
Ah,
Even
Best
worse, like
skincare routine.
mid-conversation, you watch the zit just like move across.
Oh god.
You don't say anything about it. You just like let it just kind of move a little bit, like during
bro.
conversation. The guy is like,
Oh my gosh.
No.
Wasn't there a movie that there was like a pimp from like the
God.
A
late
mole.
90s,
Mole.
early?
It was
a
Austin
mole.
The Austin-
Osmosis
Yeah.
Jones.
But there was
Mole.
also one with a pimple, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger until
Osmosis
it like
Jones.
yeah.
that's it, and then it just explodes.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
Osmosis Jones.
Anyway.
So if nobody takes the bomb, any bomb, Namalia would say, "You've got to take care of your complexion while you're out on the seas.
How
I
much
mean,
do I
that's
have
fair.
to eat to take care of my complexion?
You're good. You're good, honey.
Okay.
You're good. That's enough."
Balroth will just like shrug and like dip his finger in there and just be like,
Good.
It's a
Excellent.
start.
You gotta really rub it in there. Get it into your skin, into your pores. And now you kind of smell like fish.
Now, I'm going to say that with Belroth's kind of background, Belroth has probably been on boats before. This is not his first rodeo. Namalia absolutely would have no problems with the movements of the sea. But Jai, as a servant of an Oread before this, and kind of entering into this kind of deal, this is probably one of the first times you've ever been on a boat. And Terry, you live in a port city, but you do most of your work on land. You're a bit of a land lover.
Not
And
a big boat guy.
Sen, I've seen you grow up
you're a
from
little boat guy.
a third level to
Yeah.
So you also probably haven't been on too many crafts of the seed variety. So I need the three of you that I mentioned, Jai, Sen, and Terry, to go ahead and make Constitution saving throws for seasickness.
Great.
18.
Oh god, I'm on the wrong thing.
It's good.
18.
It's good.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's right.
Oh, Liz, you just did Constitution check, not a saving throw.
So
Oops.
it would be
which it might be higher.
it'll be
should,
the same.
No, yeah, it'll be
never
the same.
15.
Okay, you three are fine. Yeah, you've probably been on crafts of the a water variety, probably ferries.
No, for a fact, I've taken a first day out on a little rowboat into the middle of a pond and serenaded someone.
For
You
sure.
know,
Adorable.
just a bigger version of that.
Also, Oreads are kind of water-ish.
Yeah.
Like they're
Adjacent.
earth-based, but they're also kind of more fluid. So yeah, that's fine. And then for Terry and for Sen, you've been on canal boats, you've been on ferries, you've been on all different types of watercraft that are not the open ocean. This is like that, but different.
We managed to drive that one boat
Yeah.
on shore.
That's right.
We
so
did.
that's right.
We did.
I guess this isn't your first time either. I should have thought. I didn't remember that.
We could sail this whole boat on our own.
Yeah.
Not really. Let's not.
This is a much.
We can't dock it, but we can sail it for fuck sure.
Yeah.
This is a much bigger craft. But
Again, we can sail it.
I believe in you.
At first sign of mutiny, Nemalia is prepared to just like jump in the ocean. Abandon ship.
No
Must
fucks
be
given.
nice to be able to know how to swim.
Oh man. Okay. Is Terry was going up on deck, right?
Yeah, after he summoned the familiar, he's gonna walk it up onto deck and release it like onto the mast so that it's like when he's below deck, it's like as high as it can be, but still being within 100 feet of him.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and again, it's keeping an eye out in the open ocean, kind of north of Nock, between Thalivars and the island fort. It seems that the Ashmodeus Tiers is actually keeping relatively close to the divide, which is between the kind of peninsula, Thalivars Peninsula, and the peninsula of Onamouth. This divide is known as just the divide. It's not actually the open to either of the two rivers. It's kind of a weird like sub-delta between those two rivers that kind of run. It's almost as if one river was kind of just broken on its end and allowed access to the ocean. That said, you continue and can see the lights of Onamouth off to the northwest. Being familiar with the city of Nock, you would know Onamouth serves as kind of a fortification, a fort town that defends against the kind of undead that sometimes spring up in and around the Howling Woods, and also sometimes rise up out of the waters. These individuals are known as drowned. They're basically very ancient and dead that finally muster their way up to the tops of the waves to either come to shore or kind of bring themselves up and aboard onto ships. But yeah, you don't see any signs of anything crazy, nothing outside of the normal. And again, you're on the deck of the ship. There are a number of people up there, just keeping to yourself and, watching through your bird.
Well, I release the bird and then I go back down.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, like I'm keeping the bird within 100 feet of me so I can actually see through its eyes every now and then.
Gotcha. And yeah, that's not a problem. The ship is moving at a pretty decent clip, so every so often the bird will have to kind of play catch up and then kind of land on the ship for a break. But yeah, it is moving pretty fast. It's a pretty solid cutter. Okay. Anyone have anything else that they want to do besides kind of rest, relax, and be ready for the next day?
Yeah, I guess after I released the bird, I would have gotten into my hammock with Jai.
Okay. He smells.
Anytime.
Oh,
It smells a bit like Nemalia. Usually smells, I would presume, kind of a certain oceanic kind of nature, but mostly from the breath for Jai.
Oh, ain't this comfy?
Nemalia wears the poultice and Jai eats it. Okay. Comfy, cozy, and Belroth kind of sitting on the barrel, keeping to himself. Sen in the hammock, sleeping, so just fast forwarding. Perfectly acceptable. I need two. Let me see. Two? One, two. Yep, two 20-sided dice rolls.
I can do it. 13 and 18.
Okay. And then I need a D100 roll for that 18.
I'm so sorry.
Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with my games, when we play in the Hex maps, and I'm going to pull us back to it, we do random encounters. It's not absolutely necessary, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be in a fight every time. It sometimes just...
One can only hope.
Just doing the D100.
It's already been thrown. It sometimes just means that you're kind of encountering something that you wouldn't have before. And I've got send token on the map there as to where this encounter will be happening. And you said you got a 31?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And we are at C. Okay. All right. With a 31, you can see what appears to be a craft of some sort. This would be through the bird. And this would actually be at a point where, Terry, you've probably slipped off. So you get a kind of mental register from the familiar that kind of pops you to consciousness. And then when you snap view into it, you can kind of see distance away what looks to be kind of like a derelict, very small kind of skiff, just out in the ocean. Those of you who are kind of conscious or not fully to sleep would hear that it seems that the crew on deck is mustering, and there's been a call from the crow's nest stating that there's something off the port bow. The crew starts to kind of assemble on the deck. And what would you like to do? Again, those of you who are not Terry would just kind of hear some mustering kind of going around, and them kind of doing something that sounds pretty mundane or routine.
Someone would probably just like sit up, wonder what's going on.
Terry is going to talk to everybody telepathically and say, hey, there's something going on above deck. They're sort of organizing.
And Nemalia, for you, this is probably not the first time that Terry has communicated to you through the what you would understand to be known as the lingering tentacles of the mind, but in merfolk a much more kind of specific translation. You would know that the connection that's being utilized by Terry here is very precise, and so you would also know that everyone else is also hearing the voices as well, the Terry voice.
Y'all are hearing Terry in your head.
Do you slip back into bird form though, to see what's going on?
Yeah, I pop back into the bird to see what's up.
Sure. You would see them basically kind of pulling through kind of connected rigging and hooks this small kind of skiff up alongside the ship. The skiff itself is probably about 20 foot long, about 10 foot wide, and they managed to kind of get rigging and kind of crane setups to kind of pull it up as if they were pulling up one of their own kind of foray vessels. Inside of the ship, you can see what appears to be a very sun-blistered half-elf. Looks like their body has been broken quite a bit. Their legs are kind of mangled, almost as if they dropped from a very great height. You can see that there are kind of scratch marks on the sides of the ship, and it does look like there are a number of kind of large blood stains. And from your position, it looks like the blood stains aren't like, kind of like loosely kind of laying there like pools were formed. More like splatters were kind of shot across the portions of the ship, as if something kind of exploded or hit very suddenly against the ship.
I'm just going to describe this time out loud, because when I'm like sort of my body's in the or my mind is in the familiar, I can still speak, right?
Yeah.
Can't I? Okay. This time out loud, I'm just gonna like describe the half elf and all that, but not the blood.
I would say for just narrative purposes, your eyes obviously are of a kind of different variety. I would assume that your regular eye would kind of roll back, and there'd be kind of like a moonlight kind of sheen to the pearl eye.
All right, I like it.
And so when he's in this state, you would know that he's kind of scouting with whatever he had summoned, and he explains to you what he saw on deck. And yeah, they kind of pilfer the half-elf, kind of look him over. You can hear them talking. You're hearing through the hawk, of course, and it says, "Must have been a wyvern or something. Probably smashed the whole crew." And then you hear what you assume to be the first mate say, "We'll keep an eye out. We'll have to keep an eye out. This dark, it might come out of nowhere." The first mate starts yelling out orders to ready fire arrows, and you can see that the ballistas now have like large kind of pitched torches on them as the ship kind of continues on, brightly lit now by the massive torches they have for arrows on the ballistas. And they throw the body back in the skiff. They drop the skiff, which is apparently not worth anything to them, back into the water to leave it for loss.
They're saying it might be wyverns, apparently.
Do we know what a wyvern is?
I would say you can make either a nature or a history roll, and depending on which skill you choose will determine. Okay, nature 20. So you know a wyvern is a type of dragon. It, unlike dragons, only has 4 limbs instead of the 6 limbs that are typical of a dragon. Just wings and feet. It has a very poisonous tail. And you would know that its primary tactic in engaging individuals typically happens on kind of high rocks or out in the open. And they will basically abscond with an individual that they can carry, lance with the poison, and then drop, and then eat the remnant. Jai, with your history check, you would know that the wyvern is a common piece of heraldic kind of denotation, specifically for the kingdoms of Munia, which is the kingdom north of Nock. As you remember, Nock is the border kind of line for 2 kingdoms. And that the reason why that's the case is Munio's coasts, the Broken Blade north, would basically be very craggy and very kind of treacherous, kind of white cliffs, white chalk cliffs, and yeah, there are a lot of wyverns in and about that region. And Magpie, you wouldn't really know much concerning that, other than wyverns are pretty common heraldic. Nature. Apologies. You would know that wyverns are not good to fight out in the open. And then with a 22 history check, all the things I just told to Jai, but you would also know more specifically that the wyvern happens to be an indicating marker for the lower vassal houses of House Calibor. And House Calibor is one of the 10 houses. Its symbol is a serpent, gold serpent on a magenta field. But the lower houses of House Calibor, the serpent or vassal houses, are typically represented by some form of wyvern or drake.
We'll probably be fine.
Okay.
I
So
mean, there are cannons.
Namalia would definitely share that with the group, particularly with Sen, who did not seem to be, was just like, Wyvern, who's she? I don't know her. And the rest of us are like, well, I guess,
Good.
except for Terry, who's like, meh. So we should definitely be very careful and try to avoid engaging with it if we can.
Agreed.
Oh, there's not much we can do about it. We're not driving.
Right. He told us we're cargo. They don't expect the cargo to defend the ship, right?
I mean, as
Should
long
I-
as the boat
If we
isn't
don't
gonna
want it
sink.
to sink.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys.
guess the
Well,
cargo
I
doesn't
guess
really
I'd know about
float, does it?
one, but I'm not very great at swimming.
Oh, I'm great at swimming.
Oh, I figured you
Yeah.
were. I'm not though.
The rest of the evening goes by uneventfully. I would assume you would have gotten in your rest as best you could. And the captain kind of comes to Sen early in the morning and would basically bring you up to deck. Kind of standing out towards the front of the ship, the captain kind of pulls out a gold periscope, or not periscope, my brain did a thing, telescopic kind of viewing lens, snaps it open, kind of looks down the way a bit, goes, and then hands you the device. As you kind of look down the lens, why is my brain like I know what it's called, but I can't remember.
Telescope?
Effectively a telescope.
Spyglass.
Spyglass, that's the word I'm looking for.
Hey, smart.
As you take the spyglass and look down, you can see probably about, I'd say about 700 or so feet out. There's an island. It's probably only about 170 foot, wide. Not a very massive island. There is a fortification built atop it. From what you can tell, the fortification does seem to have cannons settled in it. Looks like it is manned, but you can't really see any people at this vantage point. The captain kind of looks to you and says, "We can come about it from any side." Yet I don't know why my accent keeps changes every time I talk with this guy.
The cat.
We can come about it any side you would like. If you wish, we can come from the north, the south, the east, or the west. However, because our ship is of quite a sizable nature, from what I understand, this island actually has a pretty nasty shoal about it, and we can't get too close. However, your craft will be afforded you. Cats and
I'm
yeah,
leaving.
a
No,
craft
I'm
will be
kidding.
afforded you, and if you wish, you can. We can wait for you for some time. But as I mentioned, if we are past a specific point in time, which will be the start of next 6th day, we will have to go. So, that said, you have a very you have a decent window here for the remainder of the day. You can do as you pleasure, but I would be mindful. My scouts, specifically the individuals in the crow's nest, explained to me that the wyvern that we happened to catch eyes on in the very early portion of the morning did seem to kind of move its way to this location. So
Oh, so it's on the island.
I believe that is correct. Yes.
Great. Good to know. Thank you for that information.
Okay.
I
Go ahead.
handed back the spyglass
Okay.
and back to the group.
So what you can see of the island, if you do some kind of surveying on it, is the island appears to have a fortification, as I mentioned. Very strange fortification in actuality. It looks like it's 3 structures that are all interconnected by this kind of archway kind of bridge. The main building is kind of on the western side of the island. It has a balcony kind of off to the side, lower on the kind of uprise of the island. There's a bit of a tower present there that kind of ascends up to the higher portion of the fortification. There's the smaller portion, which like it might be just kind of like a connector point between the two others, and then it looks like most of the cannons are on the eastern side of the island, which makes you think that it might have served as kind of a defensive fortification against people who would attempt to enter into the divide. You can't really see much in the way of like personage. There doesn't appear to be much sight on anyone who is kind of wandering about. But what you do see is there is a smaller island, more or less just a cairn kind of rising up out of the waters on the northern side. And from what you can tell, it looks like there's kind of a nest settled on that island, with a pretty massive kind of dark scaled thing settled inside of it. If you had to venture a guess, and the captain will also, coordinate with you in determining that that appears to be where the wyvern is located.
Right. Let's not do that. Probably. And did you say that that was on which side of the island?
The northeastern side is where the little islandlet is kind of placed.
Okay, and then the cannons of the defensive side is on the east.
Eastern side, and it kind of has a triangular kind of wedge formation that basically points all of its guns outwards towards the eastern sea.
Yeah.
Out to the ocean, specifically, the Mediterranean.
Right.
Or Nalani.
I'm thinking that maybe the south end of the island would be a good place for us to enter in on it.
Okay.
Do we agree?
Yep.
I see no reason not to. We've docked a boat one other time, haven't we?
Second time's a charm? Just saying.
The captain would explain to you that one of the smaller vessels will basically serve as your craft for the purposes of moving to the island.
Great. We ready to go?
One last thing. He offers you what appears to be kind of a strange, almost pistol-like device. If you point this skyward and fire it up into the sky above something that you do not want to be present anymore, we will broadside that location for you. We will only do this once.
Fair. Sounds good. Tucks it away. Alright, I guess we're ready to go.
Okay.
Let's get going.
Anybody have anything they want to do pre-situation? No?
Just hop into the boat.
Okay.
Let's go.
Alright. If that's the case, the boat descends lower down and kind of settles down against the waves. Very calm morning. Yeah, who's rowing?
Namalia is gonna kind of jump off the edge of the ship and right into the water. And as she drops, her legs will kind of split apart into 8 pieces and transform into tentacles, like octopus tentacles. And she'll dive underneath the waves.
Perfect.
Belroth will manage the boat.
Okay. And everyone else is just kind of not helping, right?
Terry's not fucking rowing. Have you seen these arms?
I have indeed. Okay. So you would approach. From the southern side, as you said, bear with me here for a second. All right. Let's see. This is mainly for Belroth, since you are kind of controlling the craft and are steering. You can see the island now, yes?
Yep.
Okay. You can basically move the ship to park it wherever you would like. I'm assuming that your other associates, and I'll get Namalia on there, since she is basically free to land on shore wherever she'd like as well, due to the freedom therein. But Belroth, you have the freedom to kind of park the boat wherever you would like. As you can see, the structures there. Directly in front of you, this kind of spot here, that looks like it's kind of that storage space. You can kind of see the shadow to it, but you can't really see the actual image of it. Imagine that there is kind of like a bridge that connects from kind of this position here to this position here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then this other structure to the west has kind of a tower settled on it. You can kind of see that the door is opened, and there's kind of like a small balcony there with a couple of cannons on it. Very similar in size to the ones that you have on the larger craft. And then the main other structure, this appears to be the one with all the cannons on it, is on the right side there. And then again, it would be interconnected by that bridge that kind of runs over the tops there. So yeah, wherever you would like to land, and basically depending on where Belroth lands, determines where the others will land. Based on the descriptions too, Sen, Terry, and Jai, feel free to point out directions if you'd like.
All right, do we have like a specific place we want to land? Because I'm kind of thinking like right there. Puts us in line to kind of climb.
Yeah, that
up.
works.
This is like a slope here, it looks like.
Yeah. So
Sure,
Jai,
that's fine. I can't actually.
Sen,
Oh, there it is.
and
Yeah, I
Terry.
can't actually see anything.
The boat
Yeah,
will
that's
basically
fine.
be in this location here, and you move up to shore. I would like for Sen to make a stealth check.
Okay.
I would like for Jai to make a perception check. Or Terry, whichever one of you two wants to make a perception check.
29.
You do. Well, I had to refresh the page because it wasn't.
Then we'll go ahead and have
Responding,
Jai do it. Jai, go ahead and make a perception roll.
14.
Okay. It doesn't look like you're seeing much of anybody out and about. What you can tell is that the structures are about 15 foot high, and they have crenellations that run along the tops. If you're not familiar with the term crenellations, the thing that makes a castle look like a castle are crenellations. You can also see that they have all sorts of just typical fortification structuring. If you were to stand at the base of the wall, they could fire down at you through the crenellations. I forget the name of the hole in the part there. It's a very well built and well defensible kind of position. But based on that perception, you're not really seeing anybody out on it. You land with that stealth check. Sen is kind of directing Belroth throughout, and you manage to land so that if anyone were to have seen you, they had to have been standing right at the top of this hill that you kind of landed at the base of.
Right.
And you don't see anybody, so that's good. And
Shall we go up?
Out of character, real quick. Were we told in advance, us besides Sen, were we told in advance what this mission is all about?
kill everyone, or scout it out and find out how many people are here, so that the
Okay.
Mardigans can then kill everyone.
Oh, nice. Kill every last. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my hawk just like fly like real high above everything, do like sort of a recon thing, then come back down just to communicate to me what it saw.
Namalia? As he's getting ready to relinquish the bird, I'd like you to make a nature roll. Okay.
Great roll.
Yeah, it sounds like a great plan. Okay, you relinquish the hawk. The hawk goes up and ascends skyward. As it does so, you hear a couple of voices kind of yelling out over the fort. And you're not syncing with the bird, right? You're just letting it fly and then report.
Because it's out of range.
Yep. You then hear a very loud roar. You then hear kind of leathery kind of flapping. As it's kind of making its routine route, you immediately feel a severance between you and the bird. You then see kind of a dark shadow appear kind of above you, and I'd like for everyone to go ahead and make a stealth check as you didn't have much time to do anything besides. You have no disadvantage for heavy armor for this roll, by the way, because it's not a sound-related stealth check.
Okay.
Okay, so real quick, I'm going to ask you a question, and that will give modifiers dependent on how you answer. So starting with Magpie, how does Belroth hide? Given the kind of environment that you're looking at, that you're in, and
He probably just like presses up against the side of the cliff there,
okay,
as much in the shadow as he can manage,
Okay.
depending on the time of day.
perfect. Elizabeth, how does Sen hide?
So there's this like foliage.
Yeah, a little bit of
Probably
grass.
dive into that.
Okay. Yeah, it's not too massive, but it's a decent spot to kind of pop into. That's fine. Okay. Namalia?
Namalia would quickly well, I guess she's still in octopus form, so she would just octopus her way into the water.
Okay.
Try
Kind
to
of like very quickly kind of move the legs into the water, kind of backtracking before shifting into feet form and entering into the water. Okay, very good. And then, Chris, how is Terry hiding?
Are there any spaces with like actually in shadow?
I would say the best spot for shadowy goodness and a bit more kind of high cover from bush would be this corner here.
Okay. Can he get over there
Yeah.
in time?
Yeah, just
Okay.
less than
He's
your
gonna
move.
run over there and like get up in the shadows and turn completely invisible.
Okay. And then, last but not least, Jai, how are you kind of hiding from the above?
So I imagine I make a very similar move to Belroth, but I have the cloak of many fashions. So as I like turn, you see him flip up the hood. The cloak extends below, like all the way, so it's floor length, and kind of like
Ghillie suits.
Yep, ghillie suits exactly, but turns into almost like craggly cliff shore.
Okay. The creature kind of roars out above you and descends very suddenly. Namalia, you're kind of in the water at this point and kind of drop down into the wash, and you can see it kind of coming straight down, like almost as if it's going straight down at you. You then realize it's not pointedly arrow direct at maybe like the last 60 feet of its movement, and it slams down on your boat and just wrenches it in two with its legs, just and kind of like starts throwing it to the side, looking inside of it and kind of tossing it aside, screeching and just anger, kind of looking at the half of the boat that it keeps a hold of, and then flies up, and then the creature lands atop this structure.
Well,
We
We
made
get
it,
a-
man.
Do we like just at least Terry recognize what it might be?
It is definitely a wyvern.
Nice.
Yep.
Does it
Nice.
seem like the wyvern is like defending this island, like defending the fort?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll allow you to make one of two rolls. You get your choice, and it'll kind of determine what you choose. Either animal handling or insight.
I'm not trained in either. Can I still make it one of those?
Yeah. For future
Nice.
reference, if a skill requires training, I'll let you know that it's a trained requirement.
Okay.
Okay, 13's pretty good. It definitely doesn't look like it is doing things It definitely looks like it's doing things in kind of a protective fashion, but almost in kind of like a. I'm trying to think of a fish equivalent of a dog guarding a house. The fish equivalent of a dog guarding a house.
Territorial.
Yeah, it seems to be very territorial, but it also seems to have returned to something or someone in the forge, as if it's a servant.
That's what I, yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
This is great.
You hear a voice kind of boom out over. Again, keep in mind, it's not present. I do have ambiance for it, but it's really annoying. The point is you can hear the waves crashing. It's not super bad. I mean, it's pretty still, but still, waves are kind of moving, and there's a lot of wind out here. So you can hear a voice kind of booming out, but you're not sure what it's saying. You then can see that there's some movement inside of that tower space, the door wide open. You have plenty of time to do whatever you'd like, but it does look like there's at least 2 individuals that are heading down a stairwell inside and moving towards the door. But
Magpie did roll a 25 on the animal handling.
Ooh,
Would that have told us anything else?
holy crap! Yeah.
She good.
A couple of things that people might not have noticed that you would is that the creature does appear to have 3 articles on it that make you go, aha. There is a collar kind of embedded in the scales of the neck, and from what you can tell, it looks like there are a number of kind of rusty or red barbs kind of connected to it that are kind of laced into the scales.
I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it's not good. You can also see that the wings appear to have been clipped in such a way that the creature might be able to fly for, durational periods, but apparently you would assume that based on the kind of nature of the wing wounding, it wouldn't be able to fly for long durations as wyverns are like to do. So someone has kind of set it in such a way that it can fly, but it'll have to come back to this island because it can't really land anywhere else.
These bitches gonna die.
Yep.
And the last thing you would notice is that around the ankles of the creature are kind of very slender shackles that have been placed on it. It looks like the chains have been broken long since ago, and you can also see the shackle kind of bindings are actually loose, as if that was like an old thing that just seems to have kind of lingered, and the bindings have already been broken.
So what you're saying is it's animal abuse on top of animal abuse
On top of animal
abuse.
Yeah, 100%.
And all humanoids must die on this island.
Well, that's a goal. Yes.
Okay.
that's
We're
one.
there.
That's certainly one you could try for, I suppose.
Okay. So are we gonna regroup at all, or
Well, at this point, it looks like there's 2 people coming down the way. So basically, it's kind of response time to that. What would you like to do
okay.
in response to that?
Well, telepathically, Terry is gonna say, he's over here. Who's in range? 15, 25. Okay, he can talk to Sen and Jai. Telepathically, Terry is gonna say, so that's where the wyvern's coming from.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we have a plan to deal with the wyvern?
Don't get eaten.
Yes. Best idea. But we should also probably kill whoever is coming at us.
Do we know if a wyvern can swim?
That's a good question.
What'd you get on your nature roll before? On wyverns?
Not
It's pretty
good.
high. No, the one last
Oh,
night.
it was a 20.
Yeah. They're not good at it. They're not the best, no. They're not even good at walking. Mostly just
Namali is like, oh, if the wyvern comes after us, we can just dive into the waves and get away from it.
We can't all do that.
Namali is like,
Is there a kiddie pool section?
Right.
We got some short ones here.
Oh, swimmer.
Okay.
Let's at least prepare to get rid of these goons. Sin pulls out their crossbow. Just has it at the ready. Because, as usual, they also first in line.
Yeah, it definitely looks like two very heavily armored individuals are at the tops of the hill, kind of making their way towards you. It looks like they've kind of exited out of the tower section and are kind of moving up that down to the coast. You can also see a couple of silhouettes just narrowly kind of peeking out over the crenellations on the top of the fort.
Namalia is gonna stay like kind of deeply crouched in the surf.
Okay.
Her little octopus eyes are like popping out of the
No.
waves.
Oh my gosh.
That's kind of cute,
Just
though.
telescopic
Little, like,
bulging. Yeah.
Pushes the crown back so it's just like the face, the eye face.
Oh.
Okay.
Amazing.
Terry is gonna pull out the
Peter.
the gun that's on his belt.
Okay. Yeah, they start making their way down the hill.
And pull out my magical instrument, which I haven't been playing this whole time. See him do like a sweet little bass lick, and turns invisible.
Okay.
Well, that's just convenient for you.
I mean, obviously, I already have my sword, so.
They don't seem to notice Sen from your position, and yeah, Belroth, you're kind of like against the rocks, kind of set and ready and wait. Sen, you're kind of saddled in that kind of slight growth there, set and waiting. Amalia, you're back in the water. Eyes are kind of up, looking in that direction. Invisible and invisible, right?
Yeah.
Terry and are both.
Yeah. Terry has not moved, so he's invisible.
Yep. They walk right past Sen. Unless you do something, they're not going to really seem to stop at you. They don't seem to notice that you're there.
They'll stay there,
They're not.
like,
They're not.
still as a rock,
Yeah. They're.
and
So,
let them pass.
yeah. The guards are not stopping past, but as they do move through your kind of area, and you kind of see them up close, you would note that they appear to be wearing kind of plate armor, very heavy, kind of. Well, not plate. Hold on. Let me double check. Oh yeah, it is plate. They're wearing plate armor, and they are wearing kind of red capes. The red capes have a kind of yellow dagger in the back, kind of heraldically, and you can see that on their armbands, they have kind of armbands over their armor. They appear to be marked with a mercenary company symbol. You would know this is pretty common for mercenary companies, and the one in question is. I don't think you would know it, actually, now that I think about it.
Okay.
Not even me?
Well, you're not seeing it yet. They're moving
Okay.
past Sen. You're just barely kind of able to make them out from your position, kind of set in the rock there. Yeah, actually, do you want to try and like lean out and see if you can't catch an eye on it?
Yeah.
Stealth check.
Stealth. Let's see. 22.
This is a sound affected situation, so
Oh,
Okay,
no.
so no.
No.
7.
as you kind of
Rattle,
lean,
rattle, rattle.
as you kind of lean out, it does make kind of a jostle, a scrape of steel against stone, and you can see them both kind of like turn their attention. You do catch an eye for what you're looking for, though, I suppose. The in question kind of symbol is a kind of dark hand, kind of holding an orb that appears to be filled with kind of like a grayish red liquid, and you would know this is the symbol of the Stormsmiths. Pretty popular group of it's denoted in the handout. But yeah, they turn and see you, and that is actually where we're going to have to start a fight.
Alright, well,
Fight.
the
I
fighter
mean-
started a fight.
Have to.
I mean, Sen's first instinct whenever they notice is shooting the bow. Why didn't it?
You gotta select your token.
I clicked it and then I did it. Okay, I clicked my token, and it's still not letting me.
Now this is
Clicking.
a bit of a multi-level fight.
Clicking. Clicking. Okay.
Playing
There
some
we go.
4D chess.
There's a couple of levels here, so yeah. There is the above level, which if you end up there, you'll see. If not, that's fine too. There is the level that you're on, and this might actually devolve to kind of a sub level as well. We'll just see how it goes. But yeah, they kind of turn in that direction, realizing they're in a kind of strange situation. They don't get to respond yet to anything. And I will actually say, I'm going to be more than fair here. I'm going to say that they are surprised, but so is Belroth.
Yep.
So everyone else is not in the surprised state, so you'll be able to kind of react to the clink, 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 and do something quickly.
He's just like, oh shit.
He's like, oh, I forgot I'm Metal Man.
Ricky move.
So Terry, you would be first, and like I said, you can act normally since you are not surprised. You were basically kind of waiting for them to do something you wouldn't have not been ready.
Okay. Now that he realizes, sort of cover's blown.
Actually,
he's gonna...
hold on. Sorry, it's not a huge change. Sorry, Terry. I'm going to start from Belroth as the starter. Sorry. The reason why is because Belroth is the starter of the fight. Belroth moving was the reason we're in a fight. So Belroth's action was to perception check and see the symbol. Sorry, Terry. You're going to be last in this technical portion. Sen, you are next. Actually, yeah, Sen, you are next. Your dex is higher than Jai's. Sorry, Chris.
All right.
Shoot him with a crossbow.
All right. And you're just shooting the one directly in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd have advantage since they were unaware of you. So you will also get sneak attack for this attack as well.
Oh shit! I didn't click that. So just maybe. There we go. 13.
So 26. You quick draw Aveline's crossbow. You can see the arrow kind of manifest in full inside of the crossbow as you pull the trigger, and it fires the crossbow bolt straight into the back of the knight here. It slams into plate armor with kind of a loud kind of screech of metal, and you can see it kind of pierce, but you're pretty sure it got in pretty good, but not as deep as you were hoping. It didn't like blow right through him, so you see him kind of stagger forward towards the waves, but he doesn't fall straight down. And then, do you have any movement or bonus actions? And this
no.
music is not a fight music.
No, we're just gonna. Excellent. We're still gonna. I mean, obviously, we're not very hidden anymore.
No.
Still snuggle into this foliage.
Okay. And next up would be Jai. Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard you. I don't love where I'm at. I am actually going to disengage.
Okay.
And invisibly move up to like here.
Mm-hmm.
And where's the entrance to this thing?
So you wouldn't see it from here, but yeah, that's one entrance. That's correct.
Okay. I think I can get to there, and that's my movement,
Okay.
actually.
And
disengage. No bonus action.
well, you wouldn't have to have had to disengage since you're invisible.
Oh, right.
I
He
can't
can't
attack
see
you.
me.
Hey.
You are correct. So, 5, 15, 20. Do I see anything in there?
Yeah, there's a door inside. It looks like there's a number of supplies. It looks like enough food and goods to kind of keep a group of maybe a dozen, maybe 24, individuals well fed for a couple of months. It's the Kraken situation all over again, but you weren't there for that, so
New to this character.
yeah.
I want to get there and invisibly like press myself into that corner as closely as possible. So like if anyone tries to run around, you know what I mean? I can like duck behind it, but I'm like looking around so I can see.
Makes sense. That's shy. It goes to them. They kind of, were holding their swords kind of loosely over their shoulder. They immediately kind of throw their swords into hands. One kind of chases into Sen, and the other one kind of rushes around him on the shore, kind of kicking up a bit of foam and sand as he rushes towards Belroth's position. These knights, or swordsmen here, bring blades to bear, and first attack against. Looks like they're actually pretty confident, so there'll be multiple attacks. First attacks against Sen. 7 misses. Okay, and Sen, you kind of got the crossbow. You kind of bring up the butt and kind of block the first blow, and then as he's coming in, you kind of tilt the crossbow so that the sword comes into the cross of the crossbow, and then you kind of twist it to the side. You watch as the sword kind of flings out of his hands and kind of slams into the sand and the waves kind of behind him. And then against Belroth, 11 probably misses. Finally. 1 out of 4. 22 will probably hit. Kind of comes in, scrapes against the rock, then brings the blade back down, kind of catching you in the cleft of the rock, dealing 8 points of slashing damage. Alright. You then see, as the fight's commencing, it looks like up top the silhouettes kind of raise up what appear to be crossbows of a heavy variety and draw in the first bolts. You then see what appears to be kind of a cloaked individual in silhouette because of the sun, kind of raise his hand up, and he appears to be holding something in his hand. And he kind of gestures with it, kind of in your direction. Namalia, you are up, and currently you are in octopus mode.
Can I? Oops, my bad. Wrong one. Hold on 1 second. I can do this thing, right? Whoa. Because they're within 10 feet of me, I think I can get them both. Oh, wait. Yeah, I think I can get them both.
Yeah, 10 feet.
Okay.
When a creature you can see moves into... Okay, so... Hold on, actually. Or starts its turn there. They would have started their turn there, yeah. Okay. And I'll go ahead and throw some saving throws. Right?
Yeah, Constitution.
Okay. First one, no. Second one, yes. And it's all or nothing, right? There's no halves?
Correct.
So the one that's closer to you will take 5.
Okay. And I still have my action. We're gonna do this one on the guy that's next to me.
Okay. And, alright, so it is a con saving throw. Alright. Failure, so he'll take 6, and the next weapon attack he makes is going to have disadvantage.
If I move here, I don't.
As long as you're still adjacent, you
Yeah,
can
I'm
not
still
provoke.
with him. Okay, cool.
Yep.
And that's my turn.
I assume you kind of pop out of the water, kind of hobble over the rocks, like kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
moving over to the other side. Okay.
I think when I end my turn, I want to end it like kind of back semi underwater. If
Okay.
that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're kind of like down the other side of the rock, kind of like using it as an in-between, so grant cover there too. All right. The guy up top who kind of made the gesture, you see him very kind of quickly pull out what appears to be a hand crossbow. and point it down at you lot. I'm going to take a shot at no one. I'm going to hold my action because I don't really have a shot from that vantage. But it seems like he was the initial yeller. Okay. Something happens. Terry, you're up.
All right. He's gonna peek around the corner and not hold up the gun hand and just shoot 2 eldritch blasts at this one, the one that is engaging Sen.
Okay.
So my eldritch blast,
Oh.
1 and 2.
Okay. The first one misses. Second one will hit. All right.
Oh, those should both have
Advantage because you're invisible.
well, no, advantage, and they should both have +4 because I have agonizing blast.
No, not +4 to attack. +4 to
No,
damage.
+4 to damage though.
Okay. So then,
I still don't have that in there, so let me plus. Okay.
okay.
So
2 solid hits kind of causes him to reel. The second you kind of detonate those shots out and kind of move, you have to move south just a little bit to get the shots because the rock. You then hear a as the Master Thief will fire a shot down at you. The readied action. 23 to hit.
ooh, can I use entropic ward to grant disadvantage?
Okay, so 17 to hit.
I'm pretty sure that still hits.
Okay.
Yeah, that still hits.
All right. So you'll take. It'll be 31 points of damage.
What? Ow.
Yep. You notice that his aim was pretty remarkable, and he apparently caught you when you weren't expecting it. He's done. You're done. Well, he readied. Belroth, you're up.
Okay. So okay.
Wow, that's a lot of things.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh my God, I forgot to give you an echo too. Hold on.
So he's gonna he can see like kind of like right here.
1 second here. That's something I've got to remember when I'm drawing. Create a doppel form. Oh, now you want to lag. Okay, cool. Okay. This is going to be funny for me and probably Zach. That's your echo.
Oh, thank God.
Let's see. This would go to. Let me know if you have control of that.
No. Oh, hold on. It would help if I had the right tool selected. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, put it wherever you're going to put it.
All right.
And manifesting is a bonus action.
Yep. Manifesting is a bonus action, and then you're just gonna attack this guy right here.
No, we kind of discussed, but not really, on the side. What is the kind of look of the doppel or the echo? Is it identical to Belroth, or?
I feel like it's just slightly more draconic than he would appear. So like a little bit more dragonborn than half elf.
Okay. And a bit more shadowy, kind of like.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And like hard to distinguish features, but
I already have
you
an
can
idea.
still kind of figure it out.
Him?
Yeah. All right, and so then he's gonna manifest that, and then attack this guy.
Go for it.
What?
Okay. Now, this is the first time we've had a fumble in our group here, right? And you were attacking through the echo, correct? Or were you attacking?
No, this is just a straight attack just to try and get him back.
Okay, so from Belroth.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you'll want to do is in your weapon, if you go to your character sheet,
Yeah.
and then in your equipment, you should have longsword +1. Click
Uh-huh.
on its name and then put space, and then in parentheses put the word fine. And I'll explain what happens with the weapon. But now it should be longsword +1 parentheses fine. And what happens is you kind of bring the weapon up to bear to kind of swing at him, and kind of in the stance that you're in, the sword is kind of coming in between the rocks and the shield, and you kind of you undercorrect and kind of catch the sword on the rocks a bit, and then bring it in towards him, and he kind of blocks with his weapon. The weapon is now damaged, and there's a couple more condition steps it needs to go through before it breaks, but there's no mechanical difference between the weapon now and its normal station.
Okay.
And you should have a second attack.
Okay.
That's gonna miss. Yeah, you kind of scrape against the thing, kind of move away from it, kind of make a kind of haymaker kind of swing over the shield, and he very easily kind of catches it in his crossguard and throws it aside.
Yeah, he's kind of wedged in there. Hard
Yeah.
to maneuver.
Blocked in. All right, Sen, you're up.
Right. This guy is still right here in front of me, right?
Yep, and you've got the crossbow in one hand. It's normally 2 weapons to fire, but you can hold it in one and draw your rapier if you want.
Yeah, that's what we want to do.
Okay.
A little too close to use the crossbow. So we're gonna whip that out.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I clicked sneak.
Yeah, you would not have sneak attack because there's no ally adjacent, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Nope, sorry. There is. The
There
Echo
is.
Knight does count as an ally.
Hey.
So yeah, you kind of have blocked his attack, thrown his sword away. He drew a second weapon to attack you with last time. I forgot to say that's why he was swinging at you, or able to swing at you. Yeah, you very quickly kind of knock his new weapon away and bring the blade up in just under his throat, catching him smoothly, and he kind of drops to the ground in kind of a huff. You still have movement.
We are going to then rush down, or not rush, but move
Move.
down closer so we can help Balroth.
Okay. Jai?
And I think that's it, yeah.
Zach?
Yeah, I'm moving. Sorry, it's not a very conversational. I don't
No
know what to
worries.
say. I'm,
Just say I'm
I'm
moving.
moving. Sorry. 10. Anyone in here that I see? No.
No people, yeah. You do see a map and a series of beds. The map has markers, and from what you can tell, it does appear to be a map of kind of the area, specifically the coast. You can see that there's an indicator for where the Kraken was located, and a couple of other indicators that were similar to the map that you saw on the boat that you commandeered. Oh, the boat that was commandeered. So you would be familiar with the locations, not so much the experience of having gathered them.
When you say it has markings on it, do you mean like
Markers,
actual
like
writing on it, or
tokens.
like mark tokers? Tokens. Okay.
Tokers.
Tokers.
Midnight Smokers, right on the map.
They can at least share.
Do you want to try and just like examine the map and see if you can't recall or set it to memory? You can do that as an action if you want.
No. So instead, can I take out a dagger and where each of the tokens is, make a little like point, just like a tiny little puncture in it, so I can remember exactly where they are. Hopefully, to like give myself a bit of advantage on like
Sure.
what the tokens were. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like as I pick it up, it's like poke, little dagger, poke, little dagger, poke,
play-
little dagger,
you
and
play
then I
with the
want
map
to
as an
gather the
action.
whole map. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
no. Yeah, so that's fine. So you pick up the map after stabbing it a couple times. Okay, I get it. That's
Yeah,
fine. You muster the map
so-
with markers. That's fine. I'll say
Perfect.
that will probably take you a little bit more than 6 seconds, so next turn you'll be doing that as well.
Perfect. I'm happy to spend some time doing that. I'm gathering information while y'all.
Sure. The knights
Good job.
will
You guys give the bard cover.
muster the knight, rather the single knight. He's going to just seeing that he's got Balroth on the ropes. and is not really seeing the threat from the others, will continue kind of tunnel vision focus attacks. 16 misses, right?
He
Yes.
should also be on. Oh, never mind.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, that was at a disadvantage, but
Oh,
it missed anyway.
yeah, it's super missed. But the 20 will hit. And if it was disadvantaged, it still would have been a 20. 10 slashing damage. Okay, and he started his turn. I need the spores roll.
Oh, yes. That's a 1.
Okay. Well, I failed my save. So he does take it. You do see as he's swinging at you, Belroth kind of coming in, trying to dominate the kind of tucked in position here, like settled in the wall. He starts bleeding out of his nose, and then he kind of coughs as he kind of backs away from the blade. You can see kind of like a little bit of like dark matter, like inside of the phlegm and blood that's coming out of his nose. Namalia, you're again just perched on the other side of the rock, ready to pounce.
Yeah. So, I don't know that I could tell that our warlock took a huge fucking hit. Did he cry out?
Terry?
He would have, when hit, just been like, "God, fuck!"
Okay,
He's
so
visibly bleeding.
Well, yeah.
Namalia would cast a healing word. Let's do it at 2nd level. 12 back.
Nice.
Fantastic
And
spell.
and
by
the way that
way.
she would cast it is she would kind of like blow out these spores, and they would come flying at Terry, and then just like force themselves up his nose to heal him from within.
The that's a bonus
Okay.
action. You still have an action. You're muted.
That's on the same guy.
Oh. What was it?
Chill touch.
Oh, okay. I didn't see a roll. Might be lagging on my side. What was the result on the attack?
22.
That'll hit. What's the damage?
22.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing any of the 2 rolls.
Yeah.
Wait, you say 22 damage?
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally was on talk to myself. My bad. My bad. I was testing. Do you want me to re-roll it?
Please.
Okay.
Oh, you rolled to
Um,
self. I see. Or you can, just roll it again. Save me.
I didn't even know you did.
Ah, son of a bitch.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Oh wait, no, that's the wrong. I'm sorry. I'm tripping. Am I tripping?
No, that's all right.
I don't know.
Okay,
you
no,
told
it
me.
doesn't hit.
I'll
Okay.
let you go with the 22 that you rolled. That's
Okay.
fine. Just make sure you roll out in the open. And then after that, you kind of sweep the foam of the sea and kind of cause it to chill at his body in a harsh wind. As that happens, the Master Thief kind of like looks at Terry and then kind of turns his attention between the spore movement, points kind of in Namalia's direction, will fire a shot off. You have one of his allies adjacent to you. 16 to hit. You have cover, so +2 to your AC.
On me,
Yeah, 16 hit.
16 does not hit.
Okay, so the arrow kind of skips across the rock, but it just barely kind of like you kind of dip back as it hits, and then he yells something, kind of points with his finger out towards Terry, and you see the shadow appear again, flying out from over top. It lands right over top Terry, right on the ridge of the hill.
Shit.
Its tail comes sweeping up and then down towards Terry, and that is where we'll end the session for today.
Oh no!
We'll pick up next week right there where we left off. Thanks for watching those that did, and I will be stopping the stream.
Oh,
No!
no!